What's happening, people? This is Frazer Clarke, Big Fraze, and we are weighing in.
Yes, weighing in with Big Fraze, Frazer Clarke. Fraze, how are you, man?
Good, man. Always feeling good, blessed. Ready for the session, just getting ready, and all good, man. Myself.
All good, thank you. Fraze, there's only one place to start. But before anything, I have to big you up and commend you. You were one of very few who said it, how it was with Usyk Joshua too. I agree with your comments 100% about his team post AJ breakdown. But that said, first thing first, have you spoken to AJ since the fight?
Yeah, I've got a couple of messages with him, nothing too in depth, just a few messages. Same way I support any of my friends, you know. In victory or defeat, you know, I congratulated him on a great performance. I congratulated him on, you know, really training very hard for the fight. I told him it won't be the making of him, and it won't be the breaking of him. And you know, he can be back, and he will be better. There's places to improve, but there's so much to take away from it. And just wished him well and told him to go and enjoy life for a minute, relax, and spend some good time with his family.
Perfect advice, really and truly. Listen, things can be said in the heat of the moment, but do you still stand by what you said about AJ's team?
Well, you know what it is, you know, when I talk about his team is my team. So it's like, I'm not getting on any one case individual, do you know what I mean? And when I say the team as well, you got to remember is the promotional outfit was there as well, do you know what I mean? The broadcasters, there's a lot of people there that could have had an influence, I feel like. But then you have to remember that AJ is a 6'6" guy who can fight, and he was angry and in an emotional state. There's not too many people gonna jump in front of him. I understand that, but when I speak about the team, first and foremost, that team is the best team in boxing. Fantastic team. They go above and beyond. They do jobs that people don't see. You know, Anthony Joshua is a commodity. He is a job in itself, you know, just managing everything that goes on with him. So, at the time, obviously, I was given 15 seconds. Like, all right, we're going to talk about AJ and what's just happened. And at the time, I just felt like if I was there, I would have done my best to wrestle that microphone off him. But, after speaking to the guys and getting their side of the story, in the heat of the moment and in actual real life, it wasn't as simple as taking the microphone off him. The man was very angry and distressed. And you know, it probably would have ended up worse than better if someone had tried to take the microphone off him. So, you know, it's alright sitting behind the TV, behind the camera and saying that, but you know, after speaking to them, I understand why no one really got involved. They did try to as well, off camera people was trying to get it off him, but I sort of stand by the fact that someone there should have done something.
Has there been any backlash from what you said?
From what I said?
Yeah.
No, all like, you know, I'm a grown man, the whole team is men, we always just speak about it. I said what I thought at the time. You know, what's anyone going to say to me, do you know what I mean? Like, I stand by it, I said what I said, and I'm not digging anyone. We're professionals, we're a close team, and the more important, we all have one focus, and that's improving as individuals. You know what I mean? It's not just the Anthony Joshua show. We're all in this, you know, trying to get a piece of the pie ourselves. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. What did you make of the actual fight itself? Have you watched it back since?
I've not watched it back. I just remember from watching it live. I will watch it back tonight probably. I thought it was a good fight. I thought it was a competitive fight. I had Usyk winning the fight in competitive. You know, rounds are competitive in boxing, but majority of rounds you have to pick a winner, you have to pick a loser. Now that in them close rounds, I just felt like some of the rounds AJ won that were close, but more of the rounds Usyk won that were close. And that's it. I think AJ definitely shocked him with his improvements, his boxing improvements. Tactically, it was good. I think, you know, maybe he could have adhered to him tactics a little bit more, which might give him that little bit of an edge. Maybe a little bit more urgency in the early part before you're physically tired. But all round, you know, this is all hindsight. In a heat of moment, like I say, in a fight, sometimes you just don't. It just doesn't come to you. Do you know what I mean? And that's just the reality of it.
That round 9 though.
Yeah, good round. What you might remember is this: by that time, there's a lot of lactate build up. You're tired mentally, physically. Your punches aren't what there was in round 1. Do you know what I mean? That's a big thing. You know, you carry your best power, your best speed, and your most focused and aggressive in round 1. This is where the great fighters learn to be able to do that through 12 rounds, which is very, very difficult and not something that should be taken lightly. He just didn't have enough to get him out of there at that point. I felt like his shots were even. He's always going to be heavy-handed, Anthony Joshua, whether it's round 1 or 12. But I think Usyk by that time had sort of made Joshua very, very tired, and the shots didn't have the same venom in them as they would have early on.
Fraze, obviously the fight's done. What do you believe is next for AJ? You're a gym friend. You see what he does here on a regular basis. You're also a friend who knows him outside of him. What do you think he will do next? I think
he'll be back 100%. 100%. To get back on the horse, like he's not the kind of guy to just sit down. Do you know what I mean? Like I heard he even talked of November. And don't be surprised. Do you know what I mean? This is a competitor, real serious competitor. Doesn't take losing lightly, and will be back. Not to prove anything to anyone else, but just to himself. I think, you know, you're only as good as your last performance, and with them last 2 being a loss, that's not in the Anthony Joshua DNA.
That out of the way, congratulations for last time out, getting a win, landing an absolute sweet one. Have you watched your own fight back, and what did you make of your own performance?
Yeah, I watched it back. I watched the performance back. Being a perfectionist myself, you know, there's a few positives to take from it, a few negatives. Felt like I stayed on the line a little bit too much, allowed him to jab. The jab got through a couple of times. Took one big daft overhand, which didn't faze me, but still you don't want to take them shots. You know, at championship level, they could take you out. But yeah, at the same time, not nice variety of shots from myself. Quite composed, and dealt with what people could see him as a lump and whatever. He's out of shape. He's not a bad fighter, believe it or not. You know, he's for a second fight. Not many people fight Bracamonte on their second fight. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, there's positives to take, but there's still so much more learning to do.
How's prep and camp for this fight coming up? Has it differed in any way, considering the quick turnaround? I think this is the quickest turnaround you've had.
Yeah, but it's been interesting because obviously my head coach has been in Saudi, so I've been training with my old amateur coach, one old amateur coach who's Jason Allen, who's doing a fantastic job. You know, he's been in constant contact with Angel Fernandez. He's been there every session, every step of the way. Can't thank him enough for that. And yeah, the quick turnaround just means, you know, I didn't get much of a rest. I should have had a bit longer rest. I come back in literally before on Saturday. I come back here the Tuesday. Now it was a tough camp building up, quite a long one as well, because I was coming back from injury. So I probably should have had a couple more days off. So when I came back in here after the first week off, fine. The second week I felt a little bit flat. So I finished that week off, and last week I went to Portugal for a week. Did a bit of warm weather training, bit more low down week. You know, we still ticked over. I've got a couple of spars out there as well. Some nice running on the beach, bit of sun, bit of vitamin D, bit of relax with the family, and it was just good to you know, let the body recuperate. And then we've come back this week, and you know, we're firing on all cylinders again, nice and sharp, focused. So yeah, I feel like, you know, it's just a lesson for me in the program. You know, you've got to manage the camp, but you've got to also manage the rest. And when you come back, and you know, because you want to be firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. Last one, because you look about ready to get in the ring. This week we had boxing's announcement of the postponed Heavyweightboxing Michaelhunter fight. What's your thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, I love that fight. It's a great fight. I feel like Fury is one of the realest fighters out there in the game. He takes on all challenges. He doesn't care about having that. He wants to fight the best and prove himself. For such a young heavyweight to do that, it's refreshing, and it's something that obviously once I've got to the stage where I can take these bigger fights on, I'd like to take that kind of approach, because you're only as good as the people you fight as well. Do you know what I mean? You can't. I know. Don't disrespect to anyone I'm fighting, but at the minute, the level is not great. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like he's now taking on challenge after challenge after challenge, and they're all good fighters. He's not facing. He's not just He could have easily come out and gone into a. He didn't have to fight Michaelhunter. He didn't have to, but he chooses to. So I respect it.
Fraze, last one. 3/4 of the year have gone, 1 quarter left. What does a successful last quarter look like for Frazer Clarke?
Undefeated, progression in my boxing, progression as an athlete, one more fight in Liverpool, and then if I get another one in November, December, fantastic. My aim was for 5 fights this year. I've had a broken hand at one point, which was 14 weeks out. So yeah, if I get 4, fantastic. If they squeeze me into 5, and even better. But yeah, undefeated, progression as an athlete, progression as a boxer, and learning the game, and really just basically coming through this year in a good position to progress next year.
Well, that being said, I was there when he was unsigned. I'm hearing that he's signed, and I can only see an upwards trajectory for you. Fraze, thank you for your time, and thank you for waiting.
Appreciate it, man.